everybody, and welcome to PopStream. Happy Thursday, especially to all you educators and librarians out there. Welcome to PopStream, the official streaming show from your friends at Pop Culture Classroom, where we get together with your community to talk about your media, because this is your PopStream. And this is our brand new show. Who dis? PopStream Learning Lounge, dedicated to educators and librarians. You'll get this show once per month, where we'll be giving you teaching ideas, sharing stories from the classroom, having expert guests, which I will introduce in just a moment, and celebrating and unlocking the potential behind pop culture in educational settings. I am one of your hosts, Matt Slater. I'm the Education Program Manager. And for every episode of PopStream, I'm joined by my fabulous co-host, Dr. Tajshen Campbell. Tajshen, I'm glad to have you back this week.
I am so excited to be here. Hello, everyone. I missed last week, but I am here to stay, and I'm excited to dive into the immense power of pop culture and education, to share stories, to look at new ways of introducing topics and ideas with students, all powered through pop culture. It is going to be so exciting.
Yeah, and Tajshen, give us, since it's a new season, give us like the real quick, what do you do for PCC?
For PCC, I am the Programming and Partnership Manager, which means I have the amazing opportunity to connect with all of our partners, to plan events, to work with volunteers. It's an exciting department, and I'm happy to be there.
And representing our rotating cast today, we've got PCC instructor Faith Oj Buobo.
So I'm also trained in EMDR services. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I also facilitate some groups for survivors of some different trauma. So yeah, that's what I'm doing when I'm not teaching here.
So glad to have you on. And earlier I mentioned fabulous guests that we're going to be having on the show. And today I am so excited to introduce all of you, if you don't already know her, to the 2020 National Teacher of the Year, Tabatha Rosproy. Tabitha, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Great, thank you. I'm so excited to be joining you.
I can't believe we're kicking off our educator and librarian show with the 2020 Educator of the Year, Teacher of the Year. So for people who don't know you, what's your background? Who are you?
So yeah, I'm Tabitha. I teach preschool in Winfield, Kansas. I've been doing that for the last 11 years. Kind of my specialties are in positive behavior supports, trauma-informed teaching, helping our youngest learners build the social emotional skills that they need to thrive.
That's amazing. And if you haven't seen it, Tabitha was part of a video that we put together recognizing the International Women's Day a couple months ago. So if you haven't seen that yet, go check out our YouTube page. It should be on there. Thank you for doing that for us. And thank you for returning today to talk to us. We have a killer show for you guys tonight. So today with these guests, we are talking all about social emotional learning using pop culture in the classroom. So we got a couple layers there. Our first show of the month is simply called PopStream. We actually did that last week. And that's where we'll be diving deep into topics of all kinds of pop culture with fans, guest authors, creators, and folk that really give us a unique perspective on the media that we all already love. That show will talk about comics, graphic novels, manga, film, TV, and gaming. So no matter what brand of nerd you are, hopefully there's something for you there with PopStream. And then we have our second show of the month, this one, the brand new PopStream Learning Lounge, designed specifically for educators, librarians, and parents, because we'll be talking about specific ways to unlock the learning potential of pop culture in classrooms and other educational settings. We're going to be sharing stories. We'll have our rotating cast. And we'll be incorporating the audience and demonstrations of exactly how pop culture can be used in educational settings. But no matter which show you're watching, you can catch us live at our new time, which is right now, Thursdays at 7:00 p.m. Mountain Time. Joining us live means that you get to hang out with our community and interact with the cast and the guests through the live chat. So it's that extra level of engagement. You can ask us questions, our guests questions. Tabitha's ready for you. You can get your comments read live on the air, get your questions answered, and get new insights from the rest of the community that's also in the chat with you. So if you're in the chat right now, say hello, say what's up. I want to know, how do you address social emotional learning in your classroom? That's a deep question. So you can go there. Or if you're just like, hey, I want to chill and make friends, let us know what you're watching right now. Let us know what you're reading right now. If you're in the chat, I just read that part. See, this is what happens when you don't update your run of show when you should. But if you can't watch live, you can always catch the show on demand on YouTube and podcast services in the days after our live recording. But no matter how you enjoy PopStream, we hope you'll give us a like, give us a share, show your friends, give us some good reviews. But really, thank you for being here. We really appreciate the community and everything that you all bring to our show. So with that, Tabitha, we got some questions for you because we want to know, obviously, you are the 2020 National Teacher of the Year.
I'm into everything. Really, my biggest nerd creds are probably like Harry Potter, Marvel comics, but there is an outlier there. Batman is actually my favorite superhero and not a part of the Marvel universe. Let's see, but my husband recently introduced me to the 90s cartoon, which I never watched as a kid, and I think it's incredible.
Oh, good.
The animated series, yeah?
It's so good. It's really
So good.
yeah. Let's see. I like Star Wars and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers. We play Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm really into just games of any kind. Like I love gaming. I love friendly competition. I love laughing with my friends, and that's one of the best ways to do it. Let's see, I also read lots of mysteries and sci-fi and horror fiction and listen to true crime, but I'm currently working my way through Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles and Mayfair Witches crossover, which are really interesting. And I kind of love the universe that she's created. And then, into playing Pokemon on my Nintendo Switch and Animal Crossing and Street Fighter.
Will you be playing Pokemon Snap when it comes out in a couple weeks?
I don't know. I need to beat Pokemon Sword. I need to do that first. People are way ahead of me that I play with. But yeah, Yoshi's Island, that's the OG for me. That is my favorite, the one I could probably play with my eyes closed. But those are some of my pop culture interests.
So you weren't joking when you said it spanned everything.
Yeah.
You've got nerd cred in every genre and medium. You are ready to go.
I like to be well-rounded. Mm-hmm.
Very nice. So kind of with that, then, how do you see your pop culture interweaving with your teaching practices? What are some of those points where it intersects and you're able to bring pop culture in with your students?
Well, I think for sure that my interests are reflected in the way that I work with kids, because one of the great things about having hobbies and interests that are in sort of the realm of imagination is that carries over into your personal style and, in the way that you interact with others. Kind of my goal as a teacher is to make learning as irresistible as these pop culture things are to me. I want kids to get as excited as I get as a 22-year-old at the last Harry Potter movie premiere. When you're like the oldest person there who's not a chaperone. I want kids to be that excited about learning in my classroom. And so I try to bring all types of games and make-believe and role-playing into the activities that we do there.
That's awesome. And really that we got to talk a lot during our test recording yesterday and before we went live on the air, and we heard a lot of your interest there. But even there, I was like, there's some that we hadn't got to with all the video games. And I'm sure that really, we embody what we love. We embody what we read and what we consume. And so I'm sure just in your teaching personality and what you share with us right here, it's so bright and bubbly that some of those things I'm sure cross over. But I'm sure you teach pre-K. And the pop culture that resonates with us older folks or even older kids, older elementary kids, what would resonate when I was teaching 4th and 5th grade is going to be different than your pre-K kids, I assume. What resonates with them, or is there some crossover there?
There definitely is. I can also always tell what their parents are interested in when they first come into school, because that's what they're talking about. But when they're 4 years old, it's this time of self-discovery. It really is figuring out who they are, what their interests are, what their peers like, and how that compares to what they like. And it's more than just Paw Patrol and, PJ Masks and things like that. Those are things they are interested in. But what I have really loved is this evolution of being interested in superheroes for all genders, right? It's not just boys anymore that are interested in superheroes. It's my girl students too. And I love that because using superheroes in the classroom is probably one of the main ways that you hear of educators reaching students, because something about it. Something grips kids and something grips adults. And it's something that we often have in common.
Yeah, it's that shared experience, right? And so I'm surprised to hear, I wasn't sure, like, with 4-year-olds, are they going out to see the Marvel movies? Are they maybe watching like younger versions of, cartoons or reading early reader books that have those characters? How do they experience that?
They're definitely, seeing the movies. Some of my students even, and I'm not saying I approve of this, but go to the midnight premiere.
Oh my gosh.
Some of the new movies. And I can remember being at one midnight premiere, and I just think, that's staying up late. But how special is that experience? Because the things that we read and the things that we consume when we are young really become a part of who we are, and a part of our nostalgia and our memories, and really shape the way that we think as adults. And so how cool to share that experience with someone close to them or in their family. And it's something they can talk about for a long time.
It's a big deal. I remember my dad got me into video games. I was playing ever since I was old enough to hold a controller. And that was a shared experience for us, right? And even when things were rocky, when I was an asshole teenager, right? That was still something that we could share and go back to. And it was always a great time. So making those connections with your kids, no matter how old they are, about something that you love and kind of bringing what you love to them can really build that relationship. And it sounds like that crosses over into the classroom too, that shared experience, right?
Absolutely, it does.
So have you ever used pop culture explicitly in your teaching, right? Whether it's some music or a book or a film or TV, do you kind of touch on it in the periphery, or do you kind of create lessons around that? What do you do?
I would say a little of both, and it always is really based on my students' interest, because I know that's what's going to be the most engaging to them. And so if I have a lot of kids that are interested in Captain Marvel, or if I have a lot of kids that are interested in, Doctor Who, which is something that they have been interested in before, or Harry Potter, I can use their favorite characters to engage them in a lesson. Sometimes it's as easy as just slapping them on a little sticker on something that we're doing, but sometimes there are lessons embedded in these stories, whether it's through a book or whether it's through a movie or through a short clip. But what I love the most is what access that we have now. Like when I was a kid, we didn't have access at the drop of a hat like we do with YouTube or any other site that hosts educational content for kids. So I love that I'm able to really bring their interest in a really quick and manageable way. But music is also a way that we do that a lot in the classroom, whether that be learning about language and literacy, or rhyming words, or changing the words to a favorite song, which they think is hilarious, to go with something that we're learning. There are just so many ways that pop culture can be represented even at this young age.
I worked for a charter school for a while, and we often rewrote the words to songs. And one of the most popular ones at the time was to the tune of Shot, Shot, Shots, but it was math, math, math. And I always think about those videos you see of like these crazy inappropriate songs, but with rewritten words. It's just fun. That's almost more fun for the teachers than it is for the kids, right? But that's really cool that you can do that. Can you give me a specific example maybe of like a lesson that you've done, or a way that you've incorporated, pop culture, like a song that you've used, or, a character that you've integrated into a lesson?
Mm-hmm. So, I've got two examples that sort of come to mind. One is, I had this really quiet kid in my class, and one day we were singing, and my classroom is housed inside of a nursing home. And one of the grandpas came to play some music with us, and he started singing Country Roads, John Denver, take me home to the place I belong. Let's go here. And anyway, this kid, super shy, starts belting out the song. So from that moment on, I was like, we've got to use this song for something. We've got to use it in our classroom because it's like really hooking him. Soon, that song became sort of our class anthem. It was the one they requested every dance party, every time we were using instruments. When we were learning sign language, we learned it to that song. So it was really I mean, it was a really dynamic way of teaching them some different skills. And there are some things in there, like I would change the word moonshine to milkshake, which they thought was really funny. They don't know what moonshine is anyway. But also another example would be like with superheroes. Yeah, we definitely teach concepts. I might show them clips from a favorite movie. I think the last one that we did was one of the Avengers films. And talk to them, about how it reflects specifically to our social emotional lessons. Like, how did this person show love for another person in the film? And then we might relate that to a book that we've read also. And then we might talk about what are the skills that superheroes have, what makes them super, what makes them different than other people. And if we want to be like them, if these are people that are our role models, what can we do in our own lives?
Absolutely. I love that. And I love how it sounds like not only are you bringing what you love pop culture wise into the classroom, you're listening to what the kids love, right? You're like, this kid loves this song. You're hooking into that. And then you figure out how to work that in, right? Mm-hmm. When we do professional developments about pop culture, a lot of the things we hear from teachers are, I don't play the same games that my students do. I don't watch the same movies that my students do. And we always say, you got to start there though, right? You got to start with what your students are into. And even if you don't want to watch a whole movie, go watch a trailer, right? And kind of get the gist of it and see how you can incorporate that into what you're already doing. Mm-hmm. And we specifically want to get into social emotional learning through pop culture, right? And Faith, you are all up in that. What ages do you work with typically when you're working?
I've worked with, I kind of run the gamut. So I've worked with kiddos that are as young as like 1.5, 2-ish. And then I've worked with teenagers that are, up into 16, 17, 18 years old. And I work with adults, and so kind of anywhere. I think I like to work with a lot of different folks. It keeps me on my toes. It keeps me learning and thinking, and constantly educating myself with new things that I don't usually get to do. So it's always really important. And I might learn something that's great with kids, and then incorporate that for adults, or find something that works great with adults. That I can kind of tweak and then work with kids. And so I really like being able to look at all of those things. So my big focus is is trauma work for sure. So
with that, Faith, looking at, all of the different demographics that you work with, when you think of social and emotional learning, what does that mean to you?
So I think about how people see the world, how we empathize and interact with one another, how we solve why are we fighting against culture or social changes or the world? And so those are all like really important parts of social emotional learning of, right? For instance, if I think something is wrong in my society, right, I probably have empathy or some beliefs about why it's unfair. And so then I'm interacting and thinking about other people who are experiencing the world with this sense of unfairness. And so I'm learning how somebody else is interacting and seeing the world. And then I can interact with other people and figure that out. So that's really important parts of social emotional learning.
With that, then what would you say is either the opportunity or the responsibility of schools and educators to be a part of that process, given how much time kids are spending with their educators? What's the opportunity there?
Well, I'm going to say that I think everybody who's interacting with a child should probably be investing in emotional learning. So if you're a parent, if you're a teacher, if you are interacting with some kiddo in some way, you should absolutely be doing that. But yeah, teachers are with their students for a long part of the day. And so part of this is teaching kiddos like how to be empathetic, how to interact with other people, how to communicate, how to resolve conflict. Because that's part of the world, and that's part of being a social person and interacting with other people. So it's really important that we are investing in it, no matter who we are. If we're interacting with kids, we should definitely be doing it.
So Tabitha, what does social emotional learning look like in pre-K specifically? Is that a bigger piece of the pie? I feel like with older experience in older elementary grades, sometimes that can fall behind the standards that you have to teach to, right? In pre-K, are there social emotional standards? Is that a big priority? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, there are definitely, early learning standards that are focused on social emotional learning and also like approaches to learning and how they solve problems. But I know that all learning is related to self-regulation and it's related to social emotional needs. And in fact, one of my favorite researchers, Dr. Becky Bailey, says that self-regulation is the missing piece to academic success. And I totally believe that because our brains aren't fully formed until we're like 24 years old. And so kids of every level, yeah, it's like when I started teaching, my brain wasn't even fully formed.
No.
But kids of every level need social emotional learning as a part of their day. And especially at school, they're spending 7-8 hours with us. Like Faith said, that is a huge part of their day. So we absolutely have a responsibility to do that. But in pre-K, there's definitely a huge focus. One of the biggest things that I've learned as a teacher and it is to take the time to let conflict happen because that's where the most natural learning is going to take place. I can manufacture situations where they have to learn and practice, but where the best learning takes place is actually when they're really having a conflict with their friends. You have to make sure the kids are in a state of mind where they're able to solve problems and they're, accessing those critical thinking skills. And that's part of the whole rigmarole too, but it's definitely a part of everything that we do.
Do you have dedicated time for that every day? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we actually also do have like intentional time built into our day for like a social emotional lesson. And I try to compare this. I have a good friend who teaches private school, and she is required to talk about Jesus and everything that she does, the Holy Spirit. She teaches for a Catholic school. And so I always try to model it that way. Like I am going to talk about social emotional skills in every lesson that I have today. And I'm going to tie this back into what we were learning because it is something that really just needs to be focused on way more than it is. But yeah, we do have some intentional time, usually at the beginning of the day when that learning takes place.
And then I know that this year, you're not in the classroom this year, but you were in the classroom last year. Were you doing virtual learning and how did that affect how you did virtual learning?
Yes, we were doing virtual learning. And as you can imagine, with 16 preschoolers, that is very interesting. A lot of the learning that we did was asynchronous. So, I would pre-record and a lot of what I was doing was family coaching because at that age, they need a lot of guidance and a lot of questioning and a lot of help setting things up, but coaching families on how to set up those intentional learning opportunities like we would in the classroom because I couldn't just hand them a worksheet about social emotional skills, or I couldn't, if they're an only child, how are they going to practice some of these interpersonal skills at home? And so it was lots of brainstorming with families and figuring out what they needed to do. But from behind the screen with the students, I had to be willing to be more of a fool than I ever have before. And it didn't matter who was watching. Like there could have been 10 people in the background in their house, and I still had to be willing to be crazy, silly, foolish, so that my kids could focus on sort of the content that I was presenting.
Tajshen can tell you, when you are a teacher, you are a performer, honey.
You have to always be ready because there's going to be something else that is more entertaining than you.
Absolutely. I always say it's 90% theater, and it's kind of a joke, but it's kind of true.
And if you're not doing theater, you have to be a really good storyteller. There's got to be some way to captivate. So it's either really acting or storytelling or a little bit of both, for sure.
Or potentially finding pop culture references. So, yes. Tabitha, have you been able to connect specific pop culture to social and emotional learning?
Oh yeah, honestly, I think that's one of the easiest ways to connect pop culture because like every good story has conflict. Every good story has, character development. And so, movies, books, music, you can really dissect that depending on the age of your students. And one thing that I really like to do, specifically with books and clips that we might show is to get them to think about situations in their own life that might be similar. So they're also, 4 years old. They haven't had that much experience. Their life experience has been rather short. But this also gives me the opportunity to bring diversity into my classroom. So, people always say it's important to have books on your shelf that look like the kids in your class. But I think it's important to have books on your shelf, too, that don't look like the kids in your class. And to show them people of different abilities and of different backgrounds and cultures and creeds. Because we're not always going to be in Winfield, Kansas, where, it's 95% everybody looks like me. So that exposure has been really important to me as an educator and something that pop culture helps me do a lot.
That's fantastic. Just Matt gave you this, and I'm just going to echo it. That is so important, especially when you think about kids. And like you said, they don't have all of those experiences. And what a and identities. So it is the norm that it should be and not kind of the outlier that some kids see those experiences as.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, I want to jump over to Faith and get some of your insight with how do you intertwine pop culture and social and emotional learning?
I've done it in a lot of different ways. I've worked with folks on the spectrum, and I find that role-playing games are a really great way to kind of gear social emotional learning to this. Generally, kiddos that are on the spectrum, they're kind of worried about social interaction, social implications of different things. How do I resolve conflict with other people? Be a really great way to test the waters and figure out different ways of how do I communicate that's going to get the things that I need. And it's in a safe place. If you use aggression and it doesn't work out, then, it's okay. There's probably some other way to resolve the problem. So it's a really nice way to lower the stakes, but provide some really great lessons. So I really like using role-playing games like that. I think that's a great tool. I like incorporating superheroes, especially in relation to emotions or feelings. I like to personify emotions and feelings a lot. So your Inside Out, I think, does a really great job of doing this. So also a great movie in relation to social emotional learning. So that's a good one too. But I'll talk to people and say, let's personify what anger looks like to you, or let's personify what a perfect parent looks like to you. And, we use pop culture references in those things. And that can often help us kind of learn about different things that we want, where I could say okay, well, this person is a great parent. What are the qualities of a great parent? So that we can now learn how to be a good parent to our kids, or how can we hope for those things in our parents or in ourselves when we're taking care of ourselves. So I think social emotional learning is really important for therapy, for teaching, for a lot of these really great tools. So
one thing that I keep being struck by from what everyone is saying is that in when we do professional developments, we often say that pop culture is the lowest common denominator, and we mean that in the best way possible. But it is that shared experience, that shared connection that everybody has. And so even when you're coming from such different backgrounds from other people, it's something that we can relate to and together, right, and find that connecting ground. Faith, do you have any specific role-playing systems that you use in your work?
So when I'm working with kiddos on the spectrum, they usually like D&D because they've seen D&D played. So that's usually one of the big ones that is used is 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons.
Now, as someone who's D&D adjacent but doesn't play, It's complicated. It's super complicated.
It is.
But you don't, in your work, you don't find that that's a barrier?
So it can be, right? Like so with kiddos on the spectrum, we do have some rigid thinking. And so it can be, but oftentimes like part of the process of working together and like making a character and doing all of these things is having those rules. Having those rules gives this foundation and gives like the sense of like, I know what everything is. Like if I fail, I know that I failed. If I've been successful, I know I've been successful, right? Like I can tell somebody, hey, the difficulty check is this. You have to roll above that to get that, and they know. So if they fail, they're like, okay. So it makes the world like a consistent, safe place. So it can be really great for kiddos on the spectrum because there are all these rules. So there's that foundation. But I do like some of the fast and loose ones. So Grant Howitt does a lot of one-page RPGs. And so I love using Honey Heist and Crash Pandas. And he's got a lot of like really goofy, like off-the-wall stuff that I think can work really well. So I like those because those are really simple rules. And they are easy for people to jump into, especially if they've never played an RPG. Those can be really nice things. And it's one page of rules. So that can be really nice for somebody. You just hand them the page and they can read it in 5 minutes or so and have a good idea. So I like those. I like stuff where there's like drama and other things like that. So if you have older kids, you might be able to get into like Monster Hearts or things like Powered by the Apocalypse, just because those are a little bit more mature themes. I like some of the Fantasy Flight stuff. And there's like a Star Wars specific Fantasy Flight games that I really like. And so that's like Edge of Empire. Some of folks probably know what I'm talking about. But I
was actually just about to say that there might be some folk out there who are like, what in the are they talking about? And we will actually get to that here in a moment because we're going to take a quick little plug break here. But when we get back, we are going to be playing a tabletop RPG designed for ages 5 and up called No Thank You Evil, to kind of demonstrate how role-playing can be effective for social emotional learning, especially for younger grades. So when we get back here in just a second, we're going to talk about, or we'll get into that and what a tabletop RPG actually is and kind of dive into some of these things that Faith is talking about. But before that, a couple things that I would like to tell you about. So here at Pop Culture Classroom, as I'm sure you can tell, we're all about learning through pop culture. And one of the ways we do that is through our in-house comic line called Colorful History. So these are a collection of 2 to 4 page comics all about people, places, and events in history, Colorado history and American history. They are free to download on our website, and they all come with teaching guides so that you can have project ideas and discussion questions ready to go for your class. They range the gamut of topics, anything from Juneteenth to the creation of the American flag to the 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote. And our latest issue that we just put out a couple weeks ago is all about the Trail of Tears. So definitely go to our website, classroom.popcultureclassroom.org. You can see our whole collection of, I believe, 60-something issues at this point. See if there's one that might apply to something that you're teaching, or just download the collection and have them as reading material in your classroom. And definitely check out our latest issue about the Trail of Tears by Aragon Starr. And on our website, we have so many more other free resources that are available to you. We have graphic novel teaching guides. So if you would like to teach using a graphic novel, we have a few that we've selected and partnered with their publishers to, again, provide standards-aligned project ideas, discussion questions, pairing suggestions, and more. And then we also have a couple of curricula available on our website for free. So we have one curriculum all about comic creation and one all about board game creation. So if you would like to try and implement those into your classroom, your library, or even at home, you can download these free curriculum to give you and your students a head start of how you can create these items. And like I said, everything there is free to download and use. But just because it's free doesn't mean that we couldn't use your support. And if you would like to support us, you can do that by going to our store, store.popcultureclassroom.org. And if you're an educator or a librarian watching this right now, I know that you drink a lot of coffee. Thankfully for you, we have a coffee mug with our Pop Culture Classroom logo on it. All those proceeds go to helping make sure that we can do all of our programs, create these new curriculum, continue PopStream, and do in-person workshops at libraries, classrooms, and community centers around the Denver area. So go check out our store.popcultureclassroom.org, and get yourself a new mug for your coffee or a t-shirt while you're there. All right, friends, y'all ready to dive in to No Thank You Evil?
Yes.
Okay, so we are actually going to play this here. A little bit of background. I have never run a tabletop RPG before. Tabitha actually does play D&D, and Faith is an expert. And Tajshen, have you ever played a tabletop RPG?
I have not, and I'm going to admit to being really nervous about this because I recognize that it's an RPG for 5-year-olds. But even as we went through some of it, I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can do this. So if you aren't familiar with RPG, we're going to be the ones really enjoying this. So I will show how easy it is, even if you're terrified to play.
So Faith, can you give us like the quick synopsis? What is a tabletop RPG experience?
Yes. So I like to say that tabletop RPGs are essentially communal storytelling. So the idea is that it's storytelling, that the four of us are going to be sitting here telling a story together. But Matt kind of is the person who makes sure that all of the rules are being followed and gives us like
so we're all in trouble.
And gives us some basic structure for how the story's going to go. So and that means that we all get to be creative. We all get to try and tell stories. We all get to try things that maybe we aren't comfortable or usually try to resolve different problems that come up for us. So that's kind of the general idea for tabletop RPGs. You definitely have to have a problem to solve for the story to work.
And that's actually outlined in this game. So again, we're playing No Thank You Evil. This is an example of a tabletop RPG created for young grades, young readers, even students or kids that can't read yet. So you can play this with families. You can play this in classrooms, libraries, but it makes it accessible. And we have character sheets and everything where you combine a noun with an adjective. If you have younger players, you can scale it down and just have a noun. So you could say your character is a princess. Or if you want to scale it up a little bit, you could say your character is a fast princess. Or if you want to scale it up for even older grades, you can say my character is a fast princess that loves eating ice cream. And then they have this ability where they can like brain freeze people by eating ice cream. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. But rather than having a scripted action that you can do, you can really do whatever you want. You're role playing. So you are acting as your character that you create. You maybe create a character that's very similar to you or a character that's very different from you, and you do whatever that character would do. So to start here, we created some characters yesterday during our test call. We're going to start with you, Faith, since you are the expert here. Can you tell us about your character?
Yes. My character is named Lore the Blue, and I am a sneaky wizard. So yeah, I feel like they like to wear lots of shades of blue and are just kind of, they enjoy probably more navy, so they can be really sneaky. But they're just, they have, and they also have a tiny little dinosaur friend named Stega. So I'm really excited to play this really goofy game with all of you.
Tabitha, who are you playing today?
Oh yeah, hold on. I brought props.
Yes.
I did too.
I knew we invited you on for a reason.
Okay. I am playing the super smart spy named Potatoes O'Brien. And Potatoes O'Brien thinks that he is a very good spy, or she, whoever you want to play, but maybe is not very good is what I've decided. Maybe thinks that they are super sneaky and are not, and like sometimes their mustache falls off. Potatoes O'Brien also has a companion called a fast car, and its name is Tracy Chapman, or TC for short. So we are excited to see what happens in this game today.
Yes, excellent. And Christopher, who is running everything on the back end, has pulled up what a character sheet looks like for this game. So to begin, everyone creates a character. You do have a rule book that gives you outlines of what kind of characters you can create and what their special abilities are. So for example, Potatoes O'Brien, the super smart spy, can sneak. which means that they can get past people without being noticed, right? That's their knack or their special ability. So you're not just making everything up here from complete scratch. You do have some guidance. Yeah. So Tajshen needed that guidance to create her character. Tajshen, who are you playing today?
Well, I'm sad that I didn't bring props because I'm thinking of all of the props that I could have brought. I will say that if anyone has ever gotten lost in building a character in a video game where you have all of those options, that happened here. In building a character, it was so much fun to go through all of the different options. And my character is Captain Salty Marshmallow. They're a cool pirate, which is just too much fun. And I wish I had a pirate hat to go with this. Their companion is my, I think, favorite creature now, is a dust bunny named Dennis. And their weapon is a marshmallow cannon. They shoot flaming marshmallows. It's too much fun.
We will have to cosplay these sometime.
Yeah.
Just to build a marshmallow cannon. That's the only reason.
Really?
Now, one thing, if you're watching, you'll see on these stat sheets or on these character sheets that they have what normally for an RPG would be a stat, right? So how strong you are, how swift you are. In this game, it's a little bit different. So the numbers representing, or the numbers next to those strength or swiftness or smarts, that's actually a pool. So if you had this game, the boxed edition, you actually have tokens. So what that means is that this character here has 2 strength abilities that she can use at any time. They also have 5 fast abilities that they can use at any time. So the way that works is we will be getting into a situation, and let's say that Tajshen wants to shoot her flaming marshmallow cannon, but she wants to try harder. So if she just shoots it regular, we'll roll the die to see if she is successful based on whatever it is she's shooting at and their statistics. But she can also do something called try harder, which means if she's going to shoot at something, that might be a fast action, right? Because she wants to do it quickly. So she will use one of her fast tokens, and that will allow her to be successful easier by rolling 1 less on the die. So if she had to roll a 4 to be successful, she could say, I want to try harder. And then she would only have to roll a 3 to be successful, right? Mm-hmm. So if for fast, she has 5 opportunities that she can do that. If it's a smart action, she has 3 opportunities that she can do that. And then we have this other stat here, which is called awesome, which is one of my favorite ones. Because again, this is all about social emotional learning. Your awesome points are when you're helping your friends. So let's say that Tajshen wanted to shoot the marshmallow cannon, and Faith wanted to help her. So she could say, while you're shooting, I'm going to throw a rock over here to distract this person, right? That would use Faith's awesome. So Faith would have 1 less awesome that she's able to use, but that would also help Tajshen so that if, let's say, she regularly had to roll a 4, and then Faith said, but I'm going to help you. Now Tajshen only has to roll a 3. So that's kind of some cool mechanics. If we end up that we run out of all of our pools here, we could also have some fun to replenish our pools. So if I have used all of my strength, if I've used all of my fast and I don't have any awesome left, or if I've only used one of those, used up one of those pools, I can say, you know what? I need to have some fun so that we can refill our pools to be able to try harder and help our friends, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe our characters will have to have a dance party. We'll use one of our fun tokens and that will refill our stats. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the gist of what we're doing here and how this game operates. We're going to see how this goes. So, Christopher, one of those images that I sent you was an invitation. If you're able to pull that up, that would be great, because we, friends, have all been invited to a party by Princess Strike. Princess Strike is a bowling pin, okay? But she lives at Castle Alley, and she has invited us to one of her parties, which she calls a bowling ball. And now all of you have actually been to a bowling ball before, okay? Can you tell me, what was it like when you've been to a previous bowling ball? What did you see? What did you do?
There were a lot of people there. I was surprised to see how many people there. Everybody was dressed to the nines. Specifically, a lot of people in red and white and things that glow in the dark.
So Princess Strike, she loves things that glow in the dark, and she has everybody at her parties. What else did you maybe do or see at one of Princess Strike's bowling balls?
Well, I remember that I found a really good book that day, so I don't remember too much about what happened, but I do remember that there was some sort of tiff between a couple of the pins. It was some really interesting gossip, but I don't know if I want to say too much right now because, I don't want to tell too many secrets, but I remember that being really interesting. That did kind of catch me off guard while I was reading.
I've actually heard that Princess Strike's her friends, her bowling pin friends, they're called pinheads, and they actually don't talk. They just go meow, 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 when they move around, but they are known for being troublemakers, right? So we're all invited to this party. You all get together. You dress to the nines because you know that Princess Strike loves when you dress up, right? You're ready, and you walk in, and you see Princess Strike there. She greets you. You also see Professor Whizbang. What do you think Professor Whizbang might look like? Just based on his name.
I think Professor Whizbang smells like candy.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
I think he does.
Mm-hmm.
I think you almost notice his smell before you actually see him because he smells so much like candy.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you're describing the things that you're experiencing with your senses. That's a very memorable smell.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else notable about Professor Whizbang?
I think he has a long, white, curly beard.
Yeah, I think so too. The professor beard, right? It's very noticeable. And maybe that's where the smell of the candy comes from. He just gets so much candy trapped in there, right? That's all you can smell when you're next to him. So you've been also greeted by the pinheads. They walk up to you and they go, meow, 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 right? But then once they kind of clear away, you notice that there is a giant time machine in the middle of this party. That's the first thing you notice is there's a big old time machine in the middle of this room. And as you look around a little bit more, the other thing you notice is that there's a large buffet. There's all kinds of food. You seem to be the first people at this party. No one's touched the food yet. The only other people that are here are the pinheads, as well as Professor Whizbang, the princess, and the time machine. So Professor Whizbang, he's really excited to show you this time machine, and he beckons you over. He says, come on over, right? And you get there, and he wants to show you how it works, and he presses a couple of buttons, and then all of a sudden, the time machine starts to smoke. It starts to make a whirring noise, and then Professor Whizbang gets sucked into the time machine. He is gone. And then you see a dinosaur pop out, you see a pirate pop out, and you see a robot. All of these things pop out of the time machine. They don't know what's going on. They look around them. They don't know where they are. So they scurry off into some rooms. You see some doors and they go through these doors. You don't know what's behind them, right? And that's where we're at. So the Princess Pinhead is just distraught. She's ready to have her party. Her professor is missing and there's a dinosaur and a pirate and a robot around. So our job here is we have to help the princess fix the time machine so that we can have a great bowling ball, okay? From this point on, it is up to you as to what you do. And now we will go ahead and we do act in turn order here. So we'll start with Faith and then we'll go Tabitha and we'll go to Tajshen. You're free to discuss things amongst yourself. But what is your first thing that you want to do with your goal to be to repair this time machine?
I think I kind of want to look and see if I can figure out what this time, what is broken on the time machine. Does that feel okay with everybody?
I think that's a good idea. Let's get closer.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a smarts activity,
Okay.
and it's not super hard to figure out. So this is going to be a challenge of 3. You're going to need to roll a 3 or higher to be successful, to be able to figure out what's going on with the time machine. And of course, don't forget, you can always use one of your smarts that's available to you to try harder.
Okay. I think I'm just gonna roll straight up for right now. I don't know if I want to use up all of my pool right away in case something really big happens. So I think I'm just gonna roll. For everybody at home, I'm just gonna roll 1 6-sided die. So I roll 3 or higher.
So Laura the Blue, the sneaky wizard, she kind of walks over to the time machine and she takes a look.
I rolled a 2.
Oh, and she is looking at this time machine and she just can't figure out what is wrong with it. No kind of clues. All she sees is the smoke coming up from it.
I got to smoke, guys. I don't know what else to tell you. This thing is just a puzzle.
You know, sometimes
Tricky.
it takes more than one person to look at something before you can figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could come over and help you.
I would love that.
You know,
Great.
these glasses help me see things from a different perspective.
All right, Potatoes O'Brien, it's going to be a 3 for you as well.
All right. 6.
Excellent. Oh my
Nice.
gosh. And anytime you roll a 6, that's a resounding success. So not only you're taking a look at the time machine and you just looked at a different side than what Lore the Blue was looking at. And you notice a panel with 4 buttons on it and all 4 buttons are missing. They're gone. But when you were walking around, you actually did find one of those buttons on the floor. So we have already found one of the buttons that we know needs to fix this time machine. Okay. Great job, Lore the Blue. So now what do we need to do next? And I didn't get to show you a map. Actually, Christopher has a map pulled up. Right now we are in the main room, right, with the time machine. And there are these 3 other rooms. We saw the dinosaur, the robot, and the pirate run into these rooms, but we don't know which room they're in, which room each one is in. So what are we doing next?
What do you think, team?
Do you think the dinosaur and the robot and the pirate have the other buttons? How would they get the other buttons?
Oh, how would a dinosaur pick up buttons?
You know, when there was a lot going on,
the buttons.
When the time machine kind of like exploded, a lot was happening. You couldn't quite tell what was going on. So who knows where those buttons went?
Mm-hmm.
The pinheads could have the buttons.
They could. I'm just.
Or they could be at the buffet table.
Oh. So
that could just be me wanting to go to the buffet table, though. So who knows?
So Tajshen, it is your action, so you get to decide what your character would do here.
Okay. I think my character wants to go check out the buffet table, see what's going on over there.
All right, that is a cinch, right? So actions where it's not really skill based, you just get to do those. So you walk over to the buffet table, you see lots of really delicious food that you really want to eat, and maybe you do pick up a little snack, but nothing over there that's going to help you right now. We didn't find any buttons. So Tajshen's all full on snacks. Everybody else is still trying to figure out where these buttons are.
Do you think
Tajshen's just distracting things?
Captain
for the food.
Somebody has to.
You actually had to restock your marshmallow cannon. That's what it was.
This is true.
There it is.
Captain Salted Marshmallow, did you find anything interesting / possibly tasty over there?
Lots of things that were tasty, restocked the marshmallows, fed my dust bunny. I am ready to go maybe search the other rooms.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. So we have a left room, a center room, and a right room.
Oh man, what about left to right? This feels like that's
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So you go through the left room. All 3 of you go together into the left room. I love that you're sticking together. You're not splitting up. Tajshen had her snack. She's ready to go now, though. So we go through the left archway, and in there you see a giant blanket fort. So this room is just littered with blankets and pillows and couch cushions and everything that you could imagine. The ceilings and the walls are made out of blankets and sheets. There are rugs everywhere around. But in the middle of the room is a very hungry dinosaur. You see him right away, and you can kind of hear his stomach rumbling as you walk in.
Okay. This is very scary, friends.
Yes.
Luckily, though, one of you actually has a dinosaur companion, right? So you do have, at least something to connect with that dinosaur on.
I could ask Stega if she could talk to this dinosaur. Maybe Stega could tell us what it wants for food. And there's the buffet outside, so maybe the something on the buffet table would be a good option. And maybe they have a button. Trade for food for button?
I love it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'll grab I'll grab Stega out of my pocket that she likes to sit in. And I'll ask Stega very politely to go and ask what this dinosaur would like to eat.
Excellent. So Stega does. They got a dinosaur connection here.
Mhm.
And so Stega rolls over to this big dinosaur. They have like a little dino chat. You can't really understand what's going on. Stega comes back to report though, and this dinosaur is just hungry. That's his only problem. It just needs something to eat.
Okay. What was on the buffet that the dinosaur would want? What kind of dinosaur is it?
So this is a giant T-Rex, like your stereotypical T-Rex. So that is the other thing that we have to do here is not only do we have to fix the time machine, but we have to make sure that when the party happens, everyone here is safe, which probably means we need to get the dinosaur, the pirate, and the robot back in the time machine.
Okay. All right.
Well, I know I have marshmallows, but I probably couldn't feed the dinosaur marshmallows. Do dinosaurs eat marshmallows?
Everyone eats marshmallows.
We could always find out.
And don't you have a marshmallow gun?
I do.
You could even shoot that from a distance.
So we could shoot with the cannon the marshmallow.
Yep.
I like it.
Okay. So Tajshen, you aim your marshmallow cannon directly at the mouth of the dinosaur. You're not trying to make it angry right now. You're just trying to see if it wants what you're shooting at it, right? So in order to do this, this will be a fast skill, and you need to roll a 4 or higher.
Okay. Can I use one of my fast points?
You absolutely can. So that would mean you only need to roll a 3 or higher. And remember, at any time, somebody else can use an awesome point to help you out as well.
Okay.
Y'all want to save that for now?
Yes.
Okay. I'll be rolling for Tajshen. And it is a success. So you aim that marshmallow cannon, you get it right in the dinosaur's mouth. It goes in, he munches it for a little bit, and it turns out this dinosaur really does love sweets. It perks its head up. It looks at you, and you can see like the look of love in its eyes, like when you give a dog a treat, right? And it comes over to you and it nuzzles you, and now it's just following you around. And not only is it following you around, but when it gets up, you see a button underneath where it was sitting.
Yeah.
So what are we doing?
Fantastic.
Well,
we have to pick up the button.
You have to retrieve it.
Yeah,
Go ahead. You're going to go pick up that button. It's slimy. It's been chewed on, but you have it. You think it can still go in the time machine.
Perfect. Who's holding the buttons? Who has the last button?
I think we put the last button on the time machine, so I think that one's already back there. And we're gonna go back into that room, so we could just stick it on the machine and find some more treats on the over on that table, and so then he's got more candy.
I like
That's a good idea.
Keep him occupied.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Go back into the other room, put the button on, and restock the marshmallow bag, and now we're ready to go to another room.
Let's do it.
Okay, so you walk back into the main room. The dinosaur's following you because it is wanting another marshmallow. But as soon as you get close enough to the time machine to put that button on, the dinosaur just gets sucked right back into the time machine, and big old T-Rex dino is gone. And he's real sad when he gets back to his time period because there are no marshmallows in the prehistoric age. It's a terrible thing. But you all successfully put that button back on the time machine, which now has 2 out of 4 of its buttons.
All right.
Nice. Halfway there.
You're feeling very good about yourselves.
I feel so good. I think we go up to that second door now.
Yeah, because we were saying the middle one, right? Because we're going left to right. So let's go middle then. Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to walk through the middle door. You get in there and you see a room with a giant loop-de-loop style staircase. Like it goes up on the ceiling. It goes all the way around. But when you walk on the staircase, you actually stick to it. So gravity is not pulling you down, right? And as you get a little bit further, you notice a robot on the top of the platform where the stairs lead. She's jumping. She keeps on jumping, but she's only jumping a couple of feet. And when she looks down, she appears to be looking at her feet like she is missing something special.
Her Skechers, the ones that
her robot Skechers.
Okay, I think we need to investigate, what she's missing. We noticed a problem with her. Maybe we can help her.
All right, so how would you go about helping her?
Let's see. Whose turn? Does it matter whose turn it is
Go for it.
Okay. I think a robot, like the best way to talk to a robot. I mean, do they speak English? Do they know our language, Matt? Is that
She does appear to be muttering in some sort of English. Yes.
Okay. Let's see. I want to approach her and ask her what's wrong.
Okay. So you go up to the robot and you ask her what's wrong. And she says, I am missing my boots. My boots are time traveling boots and they will get me back to my time period. And I just don't know where my boots are.
And I say back to the robot, well, you're looking for something and we're looking for something too. We're looking for a small round button that you may have seen. Have you seen that?
She kind of turns in a circle and she doesn't see a button. She hasn't seen one, but you notice that she has a button stuck to her butt. And just for everyone listening, that is in this guide right here. That is what it says. But this robot has the button stuck to her robot butt. You can't grab it from her. She's not willing to give it to you until she gets what she needs to get home.
Okay. Team.
Yeah, let's huddle up.
What do you think we should do?
Well, if it's like the dinosaur, we could just tell her that if she goes over to the machine and we have the button, then she could go back home. So that could be a good way of solving the problem. Mm-hmm. Or, well, you're pretty sneaky potatoes. You could possibly try and steal the button from her.
I could do that. Do you think, does she think she lost her boots here?
Yes, she had them before she time traveled. She came to our time and they are gone and she will not go home without her boots.
So she won't even follow us without those boots. She won't even. Okay, I think we got to
right now she won't follow you, but she definitely will not get in that time machine without her boots.
Okay.
So we got to find those boots. Okay.
We need to look for the boots.
Does anyone want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So Faith is going to kind of poke around for the boots. She does kind of do a glance and she doesn't see anything that's useful here. All you can see in this room are the stairs.
Okay.
So we need to look around.
Yeah. Well, she said that she lost them before the time machine. Do you think that maybe they're outside? They're in that main room?
They might have blown off.
It was a giant cacophony when that time machine went off. So who knows?
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay.
All right. So you're going to go into the third room, correct? All right. So we're going to go.
I think we were going to go into the main area first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and go to the main area. Yeah.
Yeah. I think yeah. So I'm going to search around this main hall for the boots.
Okay.
I'm going to look at the buffet table again, just in case I missed them the first time.
Boots there.
Well, Tajshen had shot one marshmallow. So she has to refill her marshmallow gun, right? So she goes and does that at the snack table. Meanwhile, Tajshen and Tabitha, Lore the Blue, and Potatoes O'Brien are running around the main room. You're looking frantically everywhere, but all you can find is the food at the buffet table and the time machine.
Okay. They might be in the third room.
So maybe
they could be.
Yeah, third room.
Okay. So you walk into the third room, and through the right archway, there's a room with a really big swimming pool inside. It's bright blue water, and it's filled with lots of fish made out of gold, right? So big old swimming pool with lots of fish made out of gold swimming around. And there's a thieving pirate swimming at the far end of the pool trying to catch the golden fish. So pirate swimming around at the far end. He's trying to catch the golden fish.
You know what? It's one of your colleagues.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna try and talk to the pirate to pirate, and see maybe if they've seen the boot or the button. I'm gonna ask about both.
Okay. How would your character ask this pirate?
It would say, have ye seen robot boots or a time machine button, matey?
So because you are kin to this pirate, right? He recognizes you. He hears the pirate inflections. He says, avast. Yes. And he draws a map to a treasure that he actually found inside the castle. And that treasure is the boots. He found those, and he thinks that they are somewhere in the room that is the fort, that where the T-Rex was with all the beds and things like that. He thinks he saw it there.
Okay.
But he has not found any buttons to the time machine.
Okay.
Maybe they're inside the.
Well, does he give us the map, or do we need to get the map from him?
He has shown you on the map that where he thinks it is, which is inside that room with all the pillows and blankets.
Okay.
So we should probably go to the pillow blanket room.
Mm-hmm.
Sound good?
Yes, let's do it.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So for now, you leave the pirate to his business. He's still catching fish. You go into the pillow and blanket room, and right where the pirate said that it was, you see the boots underneath one of the blankets. So you pick those up. They are now in your inventory, and you know exactly what to do with them.
Okay. Wear
Take
them
them back to the
around.
robot.
Try them out first. See?
Yes. Right. Unfortunately, it does not give you the same abilities that it was supposed that it gives our robot friend. You can't figure out how to operate these boots. They do look fabulous on you, but they do not give you any special powers.
All right. Okay. I guess we have to go back to the robot.
Back to the staircase room.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you walk into the staircase room. You approach the robot. You see her. You give her boots. And so she. Now that you've told her that there's a button on her butt, she gratefully takes it off, hands it to you, activates her boots, and then she whizzes back to the main room and gets sucked right back into the time machine.
Oh, all right. We're doing good work, team.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Now we
Almost
just gotta
there.
go back and talk to the pirate again.
Yeah.
Right? So you go back into the room. Still, the pirate has said he does not know where the button is, but we all know how pirates are. I mean, we know that Tajshen is a nice pirate, but not all pirate friends are like that.
Mm.
So this might be a time for some persuasion or, whatever else we do. What other things do we have? Like, what are your companions?
Potatoes, I know that you like to possibly pilfer things.
I do.
I would definitely be willing to help you distract this pirate
Okay.
to possibly go through his pockets and find something.
Okay. I love that. Yeah, I can be sneaky enough to pickpocket. He'll never know what was coming.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going to use one of your fast abilities. Okay. So you do sneak around the back of the pirate. He doesn't see you. And let's see, Lore the Blue, what are you doing right now?
I am going to use my awesome point to help. And I am going to dramatically fall into the water and ask for and just make a big splash and sort of make this pirate really focus on me while Potatoes goes in and sees if they can steal this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a few things have happened here. So first of all, Potato's skill is sneak, which means that when she used one of her fast, she doesn't have to roll for this. It automatically happens. So she does sneak around and she does reach into the pirate's pocket and grab the button. So you have the button now. However, Faith has jumped in. When she jumped in, she scared all the golden fish away. And that is what the pirate was doing. He was fishing for these golden fish. And now he is very angry at you because you have scared all of his fish away. And he uses his special ability, which is he uses his fishing pole to whip wrap around you, Faith, and bring you in closer to him. And so now he is very angry and you are right there in front of his face.
Oops.
Is this a time where, I don't know if you guys know this, but my dust bunny Dennis, he can put all of the creatures around him to sleep. So maybe he could put all of the fish to sleep and we could catch them and use them to have the pirate let go of Lore the Blue and maybe follow us back to the time machine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's that special ability, right? So
that's Dennis's ability.
Dennis does sing a little Dust Bunny song. It's super cute. It's so cute that all of these golden fish fall asleep. But the pirate is so angry right now that he doesn't understand why you put all these fish to sleep. And he's still very angry with you.
Oh my god.
And actually, because he's angry with you, and one of the things with the turn order is that after all three of you have a turn, the enemy now has a turn. And there is combat in this game. So the thieving pirate is going to fight Faith's character, Lore the Blue. Which means it is going to roll, and Faith, you will need to roll a 3 or higher to negate that damage.
Okay, and I think I've got a defensive +1. So does that reduce that a little bit?
It does, yes.
Okay, so roll a 2 or higher.
Yeah.
That's a 6.
Excellent. It's a resounding success. So anytime you roll a 6, not only do you succeed, but you get like a little extra great thing on top of that. So Faith ducks out of the pirate's way. He swings his sword so wildly that he actually falls into the pool next to you. And he can't swim either. And so he's just kind of flapping around in the pool right now. All the fish are still asleep, and the pirate is now flapping around in the pool. You have the button, but you got to get this pirate back to the time machine.
So one of us should probably rescue the pirate.
Yeah. I could use my licorice whip to send out to him to grab onto.
You absolutely could. That is going to be a pretty difficult task to be able to grab him in. So for that, we'll say you need to be able to roll a 5 or higher. Of course, your friends can also help you and kind of like grab onto you and help you, yank him out, right?
Okay.
So I'd want to use one of my awesome points to help Potatoes O'Brien.
Okay, so now Potatoes O'Brien, you need to roll a 4 or higher. And then, of course, you can always use a try harder if you would like to as well.
Okay, I'm also going to use a try harder.
Okay, and this is a tough action. So we're going to add that, use one of your strength tokens. So now you need to roll a 3 or higher.
All right, okay. Ooh, here we go. 4.
Excellent. So you use your licorice whip. It wraps around the pirate. Together, you and Tajshen kind of like tug of war your way and pull the pirate out of the water. He's still wrapped up in the licorice whip, so he can't really do anything right now. So he is in your power, whatever you choose to do with him.
What do you guys think we should do?
I'm going to help him grab the rest of the golden fish that are all sleeping, because I'm already stuck in the water. So I might as well go do that.
You got your pirate tied up, but you want to make sure that you're leaving on good terms, right? You don't want him to hate you forever. This was all just a big misunderstanding. So Faith goes ahead and scoops up the sleeping fish out of the water, and she's carrying them along with her.
And I will hand them. Well, he's still stuck, but I'll kind of like.
We'll put him in his bag.
Yeah, I'll stick him in the bag and go, I'm really sorry. I wasn't trying to do that. It was an accident.
If he was in better shape, he would maybe feel better about your apology.
That's fair.
He needs some time to think and process.
Yeah. He's going to have to storm a little bit. He'll be a little angry for a little bit, but. Yeah.
So now you have your pirate wrapped up in the licorice whip. He's got the fish he was looking for. What's your next move?
We gotta take him back to the.
Take him back.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're gonna have to carry this pirate back, which again is not as tough as wrapping him with your licorice whip. So this would be 4. You need to roll a 4 or higher to be able to kind of drag him back to your time machine.
And is it my turn? Do I need to drag him back?
Yes.
Okay.
I've not been keeping track of turns, but we'll say yes.
Can I use one of my tough points?
You absolutely can. So now you need to roll a 3 or higher.
Okay. And because I am the odd man out who doesn't have dice, Matt, can you roll for me?
I almost forgot. Oop. And it's a 3, so that is successful. You guys drag the pirate within the whip all the way back to the time machine, and foop, he gets sucked in. The princess over here is just more and more relieved. She is gonna get to have her party. But there's still one more step to be able to do that.
Gotta put the buttons back and get our Professor Whizbang back.
Oh, that's right.
So this is something you all have to do together. So our final action is a group action, which means in order to not only get the buttons on, but activate the machine, you all need to roll a 3 or higher individually.
Okay.
Okay.
If I wanted to use one of something in my pool, what would that be?
This one is not really, actually, we'll go ahead and say this one's smarts. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, can I lend an awesome point to whoever doesn't roll a 3?
So that, if someone doesn't roll a 3, we can lend them awesome and they will get to re-roll.
Okay. All right. So we all just roll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a 3 or higher. Got it.
And I'm rolling for Tajshen. So Tajshen got a 1.
Oh.
Let's limit her awesome points. She can roll again.
Okay.
Okay.
So using the awesome friend powers, Potatoes O'Brien is going to help Tajshen out. It's okay, Tajshen.
Thank you, potatoes.
Oh, it's only 2 this time.
Oh no.
Darn it.
So before we go further, Lore the Blue, what did you roll?
I rolled a 3.
A 3, okay. And Potatoes O'Brien, what did you roll?
6.
A 6, okay. But for this, we all have to get that 3 or higher. So does anybody have any awesome points left?
Well, I'm gonna. Okay. I was gonna ask because I did try and assist, but potatoes would have succeeded. Does that mean that my awesome point would still be there?
No.
Okay.
You used it. You know, sometimes we try to help people when they may
they're
not
already
need
gonna
it,
be
but we want to be helpful anyway. So
Gotcha.
that point, you have used that.
Okay, cool. Then I'm out of points for that.
Okay. So the only way to replenish our points here is to have a little bit of fun,
Okay.
right? Is that what you guys want to do?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Sometimes when things are hard, we need to take a break. We need to step back and we need to have a little bit of fun. And you see the princess over there. She's already having a bad time. So to cheer her up, you all go and you have a little dance party with the princess. You say, in just a few minutes, it's all going to be great. And we all just dance around with the princess. You have so much fun after that one song that you are ready to go back and try again. You go back to the time machine and we try one more time. And this time, it's a success. Because our group has all succeeded together, it couldn't be just one of you. You all did it together. The time machine is now working. Professor Whizbang comes back. And if you were to continue this adventure, he would take you to any time period that any of your friends came from. So you could go to cowboy time, dinosaur time, or castle time. That's what those are actually called, those time periods, castle time. But you are all so excited and you celebrate, and Princess Strike has the best bowling ball that you have ever been to. The end.
Wow. Way to go, team.
So with our last few minutes here, I want to kind of debrief this experience, right? This one took a little bit. It probably took 20, 25 minutes or so, right? What kind of things can we pull out of something like this, right? Maybe if it's not No Thank You Evil necessarily, but other role-playing game experiences, what can we pull out of that as social emotional learning tactics for young kids all the way up to older kids?
Mm-hmm. Needed and facilitated by either the dungeon master or the manager of the game, or what are you called in this game?
The guide.
The guide. Okay, so our Sherpa. You know, there was definitely some facilitation there, but I felt like there was also room for us to figure it out. But there was, a helpful, supportive adult to come in when maybe we didn't know what to do, and it also maybe teaches us to ask for help. I just thought of that.
Yeah, I definitely was doing some guiding for time purposes. But yeah, exactly. When those kids get stuck and they're like, I have no idea what to do, right? Teaching them to ask for help or giving them a couple pointers for sure.
I liked the opportunity for failure.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Working through what it means to fail.
Yeah. And then when we failed, what happened afterwards? We either had to have some fun or we had to rely on our friends to come help us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's definitely a cool lesson that can be pulled out.
Yeah.
I really like the helping mechanic and that it gives a bonus or a do-over. I like that sort of idea, right? Like when we want to help other people, it can often bolster their spirits to try again, just normally. And so I like that mechanic of being able to try again. Oh, that didn't work out. Use awesome. Oh, you need a boost. I'll help you. So I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I personally love the idea in this game. And if we had been on a longer adventure, it might show that you only have so many opportunities to try harder. And maybe this just resonates with me as an adult, right? But you can only try harder so many times before you're conked out. And then you run out and then you got to have some fun to replenish yourself. But I know that even for kids, especially if they're, the way we raise some of our kids these days, they are busy and they're doing lots of things. And so letting them know that sometimes you got to take some time to have fun and relax to be able to replenish, and be able to try harder or even be able to help a friend.
And I love how when just kind of going along with that, like helping a friend, it didn't always work. Like it wasn't always advantageous for us, for the group, for the person. And that was okay, right? Like it's okay to help people and not get a return on that.
Yeah, it was still worth it to offer that help, right? So when we played, there are kind of 3 levels of characters that you can pick based off how old the people are you're playing with or how experienced they are. We kind of chose the middle of the road. How can you imagine something like this being scaled up or down for either younger or older kids?
Well, I guess I read a little bit of this book.
You cheated.
I did not read the adventure. I just read some of the I read some of the mechanic-y stuff and some of the guide stuff because I have done a little bit of teaching some of this material, so I've had to read a little bit of it. So I like some of the complexity that you can add for older kids. So the idea is for like this system is like you have your name and then it's like an adjective, a noun, and then a verb is kind of the idea and so you add more skills and more tools that can be used by that verb, and sometimes like other nouns and other things additionally, so you just get more like skills and more things to try. And I like that you can like scale up the complexity. And then you can make certain things more challenging, especially if you've got an older crowd. So I like that.
The book, so it comes with some pre-written adventures, right? But you can also make up your own adventure. So you can easily kind of scale that for older kids and take maybe a little of the whimsy out of it to make it more appealing, but still use the same system. One thing that we had thought about also, though, was having an older student who might be mentoring a younger student, like we do with reading, be the guide, whether they make up their own adventure or whether they use a pre-written adventure to guide the students through. Because when you teach something, you understand it on a whole different level than when you're learning it, right? So we can have the younger students be learning these social emotional concepts, right? While the older student is still getting benefit by kind of running them through that learning process, which I think would be a really cool opportunity.
I love that. I always am like, you never know how much you don't know until you try to teach it to someone else, and how much you can learn. I can remember when one of my students asked me what a Viking was, and I was like,
they got beards.
I have an image of a Viking, but it's just like, it's sort of like that, right? You do. So I love that idea. This sort of also intergenerational, like
right.
We can, match each other up. I love it.
Excellent. Any other last thoughts on this game before we kind of wrap up, or something similar that could be used?
I had one more thought, and don't let me be the last word because I will just talk and talk. But I think this would be kind of cool too, to use in a way like understanding each other's strengths with your older kids. One thing when I play role-playing games, when I play D&D, I like to know what everyone in my party is good at. I like to come in knowing who I can count on in what situation, because it's a way to empower each other too. So maybe my friend, the sorcerer, doesn't remember that, she has mage hand or, whatever D&D people know. Say, hey, remember like that really cool skill that you have. This might be useful in this situation. So I think that might be a way that you could also encourage some interpersonal skills around this game.
Absolutely. All of these characters have their own knacks, is what they call them, right? So Potatoes O'Brien was able to sneak. Laura the Blue had her T-Rex, and she is able to make things appear that aren't seen, right? So everyone has their strengths. And, I may think that your strength is really cool, but no matter what, my character may not be able to do that. So having to rely on your friends, knowing that you can't do it all yourself, is a really cool concept.
Yeah.
I will add this before we have to leave because I can see the time too. So if you have kiddos that are older, because this game is kind of meant for until I think about 12 or 13, 14. So this is based off of the Numenera system from Monty Cook Games. So if you have a group of older students that like kind of the D&D crunchy sort of stuff, or want a little bit more of a challenge, you could totally use some of the stuff from No Thank You Evil in relation to the social emotional work, and use the Numenera system for them. So if you wanted to really age it up a little bit.
Absolutely. I would love to see more role playing be used in after school clubs, in classrooms when it's appropriate, right? In library groups. And so this is just, to me, a really great example of how younger kids can get involved in the role play too, right? Let's nurture their imaginations, nurture their creativity, and nurture those social emotional skills.
And I think one of the things that really struck me too is this is something families could do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This is a great opportunity for families who are still quarantining to play and to, you know, engage in that imagination. I think we showed tonight, I had never played before. Matt, you had never led a game before, and yet it worked really well. So even parents who haven't ever done this, it's not a steep learning curve, and it could be a really great opportunity to build those connections.
Yeah. So educators out there, when you're talking to your parents and you're saying your child maybe is deficient in this area or needs to we'd like to see improvements in this area, you can target those skills. And then things like this are just another tool in your tool belt that you can use as a resource for working on those things at home. I love that, Tajshen. Well, it is about time here to wrap things up. Tabitha, I cannot thank you enough for being on our show tonight and for engaging in our buffoonery and playing role-playing RPGs with us with like very short notice. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So anytime, glad to do it.
Absolutely. And where can people find you if they want to know more about what you do? Is there a place they can go?
Yeah, they can really easily just Google my name and it will show up. Or I am everywhere social media is to be found. I even have a TikTok. It's mostly videos of my cats. But just search my name, Tabatha Rosproy. You'll find me.
That was a great flex. Just Google my name. You'll find me. But I love that.
True, though.
Yes. Well, thank you again. And everybody watching next week, in 2 weeks on our regular PopStream episode, we're going to be talking all about toxic fandoms. It will be right after May the 4th. And we will be talking all about fandoms and how we can improve some of the fandoms that we might be a part of.
Are you implying that with May the 4th that Star Wars may be known for being a bit of a toxic fandom?
I mean, if you want to read into what I just said, then, I'll let you do that. And then we actually just secured our guest for that. Tajshen, I apologize. Do you remember, because I just saw that email come through today.
Potter.
Yes, thank you. Shauna Potter. I was going to go searching through that email and nobody wants to see me do that live on camera. We will have Shauna Potter, who also participated in our International Women's Day video. So she'll be helping us talk about toxic fandoms. And then a month from now, on the next episode of the Learning Lounge, we will have Zach Hartman of Hey Listen Games. He creates lesson plans for high school, specifically all about incorporating video games into the classroom. So he will be our next guest on the Learning Lounge, and we are very much looking forward to that. Don't forget, you can go to store.popcultureclassroom.org to be able to get a Pop Culture Classroom t-shirt or a new mug for your coffee. And also, if you would like to support us, one other way that you can do that is through donations. And you can do that at popcultureclassroom.org/donate. Every donation goes to help us create more resources like colorful history and graphic novel teaching guides. It gets us into more classrooms and libraries here in the Denver area and helps us promote our mission of using pop culture in education. Faith, Tajshen, Tabitha, thank you so much. Everyone out there watching, thank you all. Make sure you give us a like, make sure you subscribe, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.